Well, hello, everybody. I'm still learning how to use YouTube Live. I've never used it before, so welcome. I just wanted to do this little update because I've seen really a tremendous amount of interest in my November energy update that I posted on November 1st. And I thought, you know what? There's more information that I want to share, and I don't want to wait until December. So this is really just a little chat about the fact that we were made for these times that we are currently in. And I feel so strongly about that. I feel for the last few years, I've been interacting with a lot of people that, well, in all of my work, because I do feng shui and dowsing, earth energy healing ceremonies, and I work with people as a spiritual coach. In all of those interactions, I have found that so many people that are spiritually inclined, that have been working on spiritual development, working on their inner path through various modalities, meditation, breath work, doing things like Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, various dream work, sound healing, all the different modalities, of course, feng shui and dowsing and earth energy healing. But so many of the people that I work with have felt that really are so confused with these times that we're in. And I think that there is a misconception in all these modalities and things that have risen during this new age that we've called it. And I know a lot of people think of new age as a negative, right? But it is a lot of what we do in this new age modalities are from ancient systems that we've maybe brought up to speed kind of with our modern world. But I think there was this unspoken promise that if we just dedicate ourselves to education and to practice and study and also to, practice in our daily lives, that we were going to come to this beautiful nirvana at some point. I don't know if you felt that way, if you ever really were conscious of that, maybe expectation. But I'd like you to consider that if you've been someone who has been reading books on self-development and spiritual practices, and like I said, doing various hundreds of different modalities that are to bring us to our inner soul, our authentic selves. So I find that a lot of people are so confused because of this maybe subconscious promise. And that when they look at the world, everything is upside down. Everything's gone the exact opposite way than we expected. We just expected more and more people to, jump on board and to do this work along with us. And so many people feel that so disempowered that there's nothing that they can do. Like, what can they possibly do to shift what's going on in the world? They feel anxious and depressed, and they feel like the apocalypse is here. If this sounds like you, please listen up. Because from my perspective, this can be nothing further from the truth. I have to admit that, yes, the events over these last 10 years have really thrown me for a loop. I mean, if you think back to even 9/11, right? The start of this millennia, have really thrown us all into a little bit of a spin, shall I say. But I've come out of that spin by realizing that all of my life, I have felt that I've been preparing for something really big. And you may have also felt that. And like I said, the promise of all those different um, practices on inner work was that we would come to this beautiful place. So I'd like you to just consider a perspective shift. First of all, did we all think that the world was great before all this chaos? Was it really good? Do we really want to go back to that? Maybe it was an illusion that we think of now that the world was great then. I don't know, 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, who knows? We're in a time of great upheaval where things feel totally upside down. I know that. But it doesn't mean that what we see is what's going to actually land for the long haul. So there's no change when things are status quo. Look at your own life. Just reflect on your own life for a moment. When you look back on times that had this great joy and happiness, things were good, right? Now think of the times in your life when you were like, what the heck is going on? Those were the times that brought us closer to our truth if we took that opportunity, right? We got to see through the cobwebs that creeped into our subconscious, into our shadows. We had to face our fears and reflect on how we got to that place, right? So those are the times of great transformation and metamorphosis in our lives. Those are the times that are kind of those pivot points where we say life or who we were was different before and after, right? Now, once we've traveled down that path of contemplation and self-reflection, those dramatic times did subside, right? When we finally took the path of reflection, eventually that chaos subsided and we were brought back into balance. So for some of you, this time might have been 20, 30, 40, maybe 50 years ago that you went through this major transformational time. And personally, I know that it's usually not one transformational time, it's several, and it's ongoing. It's not like we become awakened and enlightened and we're like, oh yeah, and we're good. No, we have to continually learn, right? We have to continually wake up, wake up, wake up. That's what it is to be human. But for some of you out there, this like transformational time is right now. Maybe you're finally having your first awakening, first waking up and recognizing that you have to do some inner contemplation, some real reflection on how you got here in your life. Now, when we understand that this happens on a personal level, remember, as above, so below. Those 4 words are just unlock everything for me. Because what we go through on a personal level, we're going through on a collective level as well. And we're going on It's going on as a planetary level, and then a solar system level, and then a universal level. This series of upheavals and back into balance, and upheavals and back into balance, is the yin and yang, which again is another concept that just when I learned about it really unlocked so much of the mystery, or not understanding it fully, but having a context for it. So we're going through this dark night of the soul as a collective, humanity. We're going through it together. Some of us will heed the call and others won't. But yet, some of us will also be the ones that will help others step up into this newer level of consciousness. There's always the guides out there, always the teachers, always the mentors, and you may be one of them. If you're not going through a collective or a personal dark night of the soul, and you've been there before, you were made for these times. And as I spoke about in my last video, the November energy update, which you can find here on this channel, I talked about how the cosmos is aligning to help us and support us also through this portal, this gateway. It's a transition point from what we were to who we will become, personally and collectively. And also the earth. The earth is going through her own transformation process as well. But the arrival of 3i Atlas at this point in time, when all the planetary alignments, I'm not going to get into them all, it's way too many to talk about, but over the last few years, the planetary alignments have been setting us up for huge shift in evolution of consciousness and ushering the divine feminine in. And I do truly feel that 3i Atlas is a trigger to that. And I even saw last night that there's another Atlas that was just discovered. Atlas is actually the name of the telescope that discovered it. And this one is an Atlas too, but it also has a gentleman's name. I am so sorry, I forgot, but he begins with a B, like Borislav, I think. And that is just discovered, I think it was yesterday. I mean, I saw about it yesterday for the first time. And that one's even closer to the Earth. It's actually between 3i Atlas and Earth. And it's pretty close to the sun. So it seems like every week we're finding these new, and this is another, I believe, another interstellar visitor. So I'm not sure if it's interstellar, so don't quote me on that, but I believe it is. So, so what do we do? I suggest one shift in what you're currently doing. If you're one of those who have been doing a lot of spiritual work, or even if you're just new to it, you're opening up to it, is to consider how much time you're spending watching the news. I mean, yes, everybody's saying that, right? The more you consume, the more you're absorbing, the more it's going to put you in a state of anxiety. And, breaking news, the news is going to get even more tragic and more chaotic and more sensational over the next couple of months. So if you don't want to feel like this, what I suggest is obviously watch less or read less. But when you do dip in to become informed, we all should be informed, be conscious of how you are interacting. In other words, The news is going to suck your energy in and bring you right down to the muck. It's just going to. And I suggest you resist that and take a higher level view. See all these everyday headlines as a distraction. Yes, there's a greater meaning. We need to be informed, but to see it from a higher view that we're going through this dark night of the soul. And yes, the cobwebs, the muck is all going to come up and out. And that we are moving through this period in the most direct line possible, which is the most challenging, but also is the shortest path through it. So imagine yourself being a bird, kind of looking down at what is happening. Or maybe you want to envision yourself as an alien, right? Looking down on this planet going, that's curious what they're going through right now. Approaching this time, I wrote some words and now I can't find it. With curiosity, yes, there's a lot of tragedy in the world, and I am not going to ignore that. There are so many people on this planet that have atrocities and tragedies from everything going on. So if you are one of them, my heart goes out to you for strength to get through this period. But if you're not one of them, then you really need to bring your energy back and be solid and strong. So I think I'm going to do a few other videos on some other things that are coming up that I'm seeing in my everyday life that can help. I hope I can help give a different perspective, maybe kind of bring you up, even if it's only momentarily out of the muck. Please smile. Please be curious, playful, and lighthearted. We will get through this. There's some magic on the other side, but we have to go through this. Conscious consumption of the news. Conscious consumption of the news that might help get you through your days. And remember, we are made for these times. Sending lots of light to you all, and hope that you have a beautiful, curious, magical, enchanted day.